Hello hook loopers, welcome to my crochet channel. I'm Sarah. Today I'm back with a new exciting Tunisian stitch. I've called it the Tunisian Slanted Cable Stitch because it's done with cables that are slightly curved towards right. You can see it in the sample here. This stitch is rather easy to do, and it's made of 3 rows repetitions, and it's worked starting from a chain in multiples of 6 plus 8 stitches. So let's begin. So here I have started, as is often the case, from a standard foundation row in Tunisian crochet of 20 stitches. As usual, I will leave all useful links of stitches and techniques used in this video in the description below and in the top right hand corner of this video. So, the foundation row usually counts as row number 1. In row number 2, we will begin with the first row repetition, which is made like this. First loop on the hook counts as stitch number 1. Now we will work into the first stitch, which is this one and not the one right under the loop on the hook, which we do not consider. We will work this in Tunisian simple stitch. So we go with our hook from right to left under this vertical bar here, yarn over, pull through and drop a loop. Now you will work into the next 4 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch, which is done, if you remember, by inserting the hook between the front and back bar of the next stitch. The front vertical bar and its back vertical bar. Okay, here, yarn over, pull through and drop a loop. This is stitch number 1. 2, 3 and 4. Now I will take off my hook from under those last 4 loops. I will insert it again only in the last 2 loops I've produced, and now with the help of either an external device like a collecting bar or a tapestry needle, or just with the help of your fingers, you need to bring those first 2 loops of the 4 in front from the back and insert your hook into them all over again, like this, so that the 2 pairs of stitches are juxtaposed and twisted as if for a cable stitch. Okay, now we will work into the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch again. Pay attention, this stitch here, this bar here, still belongs to the last knit stitch we have created. So we need to go here. So 1 and 2. Now work into the next 4 stitches again in Tunisian Knit Stitch, working loosely because this is a group of 4 stitches with which we are going to create our cabling, just like before. Okay, so I pull out the hook from under those last 4 loops, insert it again only under the last 2 loops of this group, and now in this case I will use a tapestry needle. You collect those 2 stitches and bring them to the front and insert the hook again and slip out the tapestry needle, and I have my twisting here. Okay, Now once again, I will work into the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. So here and here. And now I have another group of 4 knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4, in which I will make my cabling. So I take off the hook from under those last 4 loops, insert the hook again only under the last 2 loops, and I usually do this with the help of my fingers. Delicately take those first 2 loops and bring them to the front, and now insert your hook again under them, and that's my cabling formed. Okay, so now 2 stitches left to work in my forward pass. I will work this the second to last stitch in Tunisian Simple Stitch, just like I've done for the first stitch of the row. And in my last stitch, I will work as usual a neat closing stitch, which is done by inserting the hook under both the front vertical bar and its back bar in that border stitch here, like this. Yarn over, pull through, drop a loop, and now we will make a return pass, a standard one, which is done by yarning over, pulling through 1 loop only first, then yarn over again and pull through 2 loops together. Repeating this second movement, yarn over and pull through 2 loops together until the end of the row, and paying attention, especially where you had done the cabling in the forward pass, that you only cast off 2 stitches at a time, and pay attention that you do so in the right order, in the right sequence. Okay, so in row number 3, we will begin with a Tunisian Simple Stitch. So we will always begin with a Tunisian Simple Stitch and end with a Tunisian Simple Stitch in the forward pass, regardless of the row repetition we are doing. Here in row number 3, we will work the remaining stitches in Tunisian Simple Stitch across, except for this last, well, second to last stitch here. Okay, and this is what we will always do. After each row repetition, we will work a simple row in Tunisian Knit Stitch. So you just need to pay attention here where you have your slanted stitches here, that you really insert the hook correctly into the stitches. So here, for example, is my knit stitch, and you probably need to pull the stitches apart with your fingers like this in order to recognize correctly where the stitches are and where you need to insert your hook. So here, for example, and this is one of the most complicated because this stitch here is a little bit hidden, but don't forget it. Knit stitch here as well, knit stitch here, and so on until the end of the forward pass. Okay, second to last stitch, we will work it in Tunisian simple stitch and finish as always with a neat closing stitch here at the border and return. Okay, so in row number 4 we have our second row repetition, which is done like this. As always, we will start with a Tunisian simple stitch in the first stitch here. Now we will work into the next 4 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we will start our cabling forming by working into the next 4 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we will take out the hook from these group of 4 stitches, the last one, and insert the hook again under the last 2 loops, leaving the first 2 loops behind the hook. Then we will grab them gently with our fingers, bring them to the front slightly and insert the hook under them from here. Okay, here you are. Now again, we will work into the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. So I think here and here. Now another 4 knit stitches that will form our group of 4 that will be twisted to form the cabling. Take out the hook, insert it again here, then bring the first 2 to the front. With your fingers or with another device and create the cabling. Now we have 4 stitches left and we will work under the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch, 1 and 2. In that stitch here, the second to last, in Tunisian Simple Stitch. And here we will make our closing border stitch and return. So, as I said before, after each row repetition, we will work a simple row in Tunisian Knit Stitch. So in row number 5, we will do so. As always, we will begin working into the first stitch in Tunisian Simple Stitch, and the rest of the stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch, except for this second to last stitch, which will be again a Tunisian Simple Stitch. And return. Okay, in row number 6 we have our third row repetition, which is done like this. We begin with our Tunisian Simple Stitch in the first stitch of the row. Then we will work into the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. 1, 2, and now we will work into our next 4 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch, preparing for our cabling, forming 2, 3, 4. So we take out our hook, insert it again, bring those 2 loops to the front and insert the hook again under them. As you see, it gets relatively quick with your fingers as well. I love the fact that I don't need any external accessory. I tried with my tapestry needle before, but I find it easier and quicker like this. Then you know the pattern already. We will work into the next 2 stitches in Tunisian Knit Stitch. And then another group of 4 knit stitches that will be forming our cabling. 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert it again. Bring the first 2 to the front and insert the hook under them again. Then another 2 knit stitches. We will actually work another 2 knit stitches in these 2 stitches here. Then a simple stitch, as always, in this second to last stitch here, finishing with a neat closing stitch here, and return. Okay, so this is the pattern basically. In the next row, row number 7, we will work again 2 simple stitches here and here, so at the beginning and at the end of the row, and Tunisian knit stitch across. And then in row number 8, we will start with the rows repetition right again. So we will repeat what we have done in row number 2 here, which was the first row repetition. Then we will make again a row in Tunisian knit stitch. Then we will make row repetition number 2, and then again, so on and so forth, as long as you wish and as you need to. And this is the result, which is really, really lovely and looks very knit-like, of course, since we're using the Tunisian knit stitch basically. And this is it for today as well. Thank you for watching, and see you next time with another fantastic video on Tunisian crochet. Bye bye.